I apologise to Pete Cranston because I slightly modified what he told me because I thought it was a little bit easier to tell the story for this conference. But he basically told me there were 5 things you need to know about Web 2. On the tools side, the kind of services that you might need. You needed to know about blogs, things like vlogging, putting your content up easily. You needed to know about collaborative working, so a wiki was one of the next things you really needed. You needed to describe the information, to tag it, to make sense of what's out there, so keyword it, tagging. And the nice thing about Web 2 is by putting those tags, you end up with these mysterious thing called feeds, which allow you to just take the information you want, the list you want. And those feeds can go anywhere. They can be on any website, they can be from your blog, they can be from your database, and they can also be read on computers and phones and other devices. But finally, bring it all together by having some understanding that's a thing called mashups, where you can bring the various feeds, you can aggregate the information, maybe with a reader, or bringing all that information together. So you needed to have some kind of understanding of those 5 things. Now he used his hands because, as I said, I don't think it is about the technology, it's about the people. So we should sort of have a human dimension to this. But if we're going to use our hands, we do have 2 of them. And whilst it's nice to know about these services and products, we really want to know how to apply them. And so several people have contributed to the other hand. They're too numerous to mention. I think the story has been going on as a shaggy dog story does, with new bits being added. So I know I've already forgotten some of the elements other people have given me. But we're starting with the person. We need to be people-centered and understand the need. We need, and as many of you have mentioned, it's a question of access. We cannot just ignore the bandwidth and connectivity issue. If we're really serious about using some of these tools, there's a possibility to influence that in many cases. There's a possibility to improve the access. Access might not just be connection, it may be language. What was the subtitle, though, of this meeting? Participatory web. That participation aspect is the key thing. We can provide access, but what is it that gives people the motivation? In working together, we're producing content, and I know many of you in this room are really in that world of content mobilization. You're trying to encourage others quite often to produce content. You're trying to package it yourself for particular audiences. You're focusing on how do we work together to produce that content. It's a real element you've got to look at. And the thing that came again and again within the open spaces, within nearly every presentation, so what? What's the impact? What's the change? What's the progress in what we've done? There are lots of plans talked about. How many experiences shared? And just to remember, the hands, there were the tools, blog, wiki-like things, tagging, feeds, mashups. And there were the needs, the people-centered things, the access, the participation, the content, and finally, the change. Thank you very much.